And hello everyone, Lights and Gear is back, and today I have another new flashlight from the folks at FiTorch. And if you looked at some of the other reviews of the past little while, there are 2 or 3 other FiTorch lights, and they have been coming out with some very interesting designs, and this one is no exception, the MR15. This is one of the larger lights that I've seen from them recently, and as you can see here, it's a maximum of 1200 lumens, and what is different about this one are 2 or 3 things, but one is the fact that it takes additional size batteries, and I don't think I've ever seen a flashlight before that actually takes 5 different battery sizes. So let's all get to this in a matter of moments. The flashlight here is as it looks, and it's it's exactly 6 inches long. It's no tiny light, but it is a full-featured light, and it also describes the hidden micro USB charging port right here on the front, so it is USB rechargeable. It operates via a CREE XP-L LED, so it has pretty good beam coverage or distance, and that's right there at 256 meters, and on the lowest mode the maximum runtime they claim is 229 hours. And it also has a feature here on the side which gives you your battery voltage, and is also the indicator of the battery charging when you have the USB plugged in. So there's quite a bit going on here with the MR15, and here on the back it does display, or does talk about the different types of batteries. It comes with a rechargeable battery, and that's the 21700 lithium ion, but you can also use these other sizes, which again I'll go over in detail here momentarily. And here are the outputs of the flashlight: 6, 100, 345, and 1200 lumens, plus a strobe mode. Strobe is the only emergency mode. So as we open up the package, I think you'll see that it comes with a pretty good array of accessories. First is the manual, which is well written, and here's the belt holster. And inside the belt holster are essentially all the goodies, starting with an adapter, because you can use AAA batteries in the light. So here's your standard 3 AAA battery cage, if you will. So that's right there. Also is the micro USB charging cable. That's standard. And at the bottom here, oh, here's a spare O-ring. And digging deeper into the holster comes the lanyard, adjustable lanyard. So those are your accessories. The battery is inside the flashlight, so let's get to that here, as well as the flashlight. It's a pretty nice looking light. As you can see, it does not come with a pocket clip, and the lanyard would attach right here on the bottom. Of course, the holster, just slip it in. I kind of wish it did have a pocket clip, but it is on the large side, but other large size lights such as this do have pocket clips, so it's not unheard of. Now, so let's show you the battery it comes with. And this is the first time that I have ever owned one of these particular types of batteries, or used one in a light, because most of my lights are either 18650 or 26650. So this is the first time I've had a 21700, and here it is at 5000 mAh. So it's a pretty powerful battery, much more powerful than even the highest capacity 18650 at 3600. So whereas you can use other rechargeable batteries in the light, you'll also notice this is a flat top, whereas you can use other rechargeable batteries in the light, the advantage to this one is longer runtime. And I can't think of any other reason why they would have made the light to accept this kind of battery if that wasn't their goal. So when they give you the 229 hours on low mode and so forth. Obviously they're basing all their run times on this battery, and so that's the advantage here, is longer run time. You can also use a standard 18650, just like this. You see their sizes are reasonably close, but of course the 21700 is a little bit thicker. Length is always the same. There's also another size you can use, and that is the, I don't have one of those to show you, that is the 20700 with the same voltage, 20700, that would be the next size down. So in order of size, you have the included 21700, and then down from that, a little bit thinner, is the 207, and then you have the 18650, which is, you know, right here. So those are your three main size batteries. Then of course you can also use the AAAs, which we talked about a moment ago, and that can be either in the form of alkaline disposable or NIMH rechargeable. I happen to have three of those right here. So these are the NIMH AAAs. And you can also use two CR123s, the regular disposable 3-volt lithium batteries. What you cannot use are the cousins of these. You can't use 16340 with 3.7 volts, or 18350 with 3.7 volts, which would all be the same size as these. You cannot use anything other than a CR123 if your choice was to use two small lithium batteries. And the reason for that is because the voltage of the light only goes to 6 volts. Two of these are 6 volts, two of all the others are about 8 volts. So the flashlight cannot handle that. So those are your battery choices. It's still rather impressive, and that the fact of the package coming with this battery, as I believe it does because my sample did, there's no reason in the world why you wouldn't use one of these anyway. You can obviously take the others as a backup, and your most useful backup would be AAA batteries. So there's no reason in the world to even want to use the other sizes, except 18650s, of course, are very prevalent, so you can certainly use one of these. But, you know, as far as using the smaller batteries, I wouldn't recommend it. There's no particular reason to want to or have to. So, anyway, let's just get to the basics here. And now you'll see when the battery goes in the light, it is very tight, as it should be. Now, with the 18650, you'll have a little bit extra room, a little bit of extra wiggle room in here. They do not give an adapter to put the 18650 into, but I suppose you could use one of those. I actually have some clear adapters around here, but most people may not have one, so it doesn't matter. But the point is, when the cap is on the 18650, there is no rattle. So even though there's a little bit of extra space in there, you won't notice it. Once the cap is on and the spring inside is holding the battery, you won't hear anything. There's no rattle in there whatsoever. There's your O-ring right on the end, and there is the spare O-ring in there. And there is a lot of travel here on these threads, so you do have to tighten the cap down quite a bit to get it to tighten onto the battery. And also, here is the lock and unlock feature. So when it's on and tightened, all you have to do to unlock it to prevent any accidental activation is to turn the cap a little bit. Once it's on, all you'll have to do is turn the cap a little bit like that, and it will turn off. So a simple quick twist to lock and unlock. And it can even be on, as you see, and then you can twist it and unlock it and twist it back on again, and it just comes back on. Okay, so some of the main features of the light. Now, the knurling here is not particularly aggressive. It's actually quite smooth, but it's a good size light and holds in the hand well, so chances are it's not going to slip that much even if your hands are wet, because as I say, this is not particularly aggressive. It has two switches as you probably noticed already, or maybe not, but there are two switches here. This is the main switch for on and off, and this is the mode switch on top. And it's quite easy to find them in the dark. Twist the light around a bit until you come to the part where you can feel there, because the square is the easiest one to find. And turn it on, and you'll get the light like that. Now here's your indicator. This is your battery indicator. And obviously when all 4 circles are illuminated, that shows your full strength. On and off, simple as that. Once they're on, press this button here and change the modes, and it goes lowest to highest and then highest to lowest. So if you keep pressing it, it'll just keep going high, 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 then low, 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 then high, 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 then low, low, low. So it just keeps going up and down. And turning it off is as simple as pressing the button. Here's your LED down in here, by the way. It is a smooth reflector, so as I say, it gets quite good beam distance. So back to the switch here. Here's your battery indicator. Without physically turning the light on, you can check that by giving it a quick little press like that and just sort of showing how many circles are illuminated. This button also gives you tactical turbo. So if I were to keep holding it in as the lights come on, let me turn a light off here. If I was to keep holding it in, I would get instant turbo mode. And turbo is obviously available by clicking the mode switch as many times as need be until you get to the top. But for tactical turbo, you just press and hold that flat button. As soon as you let it go, the light turns off. Now if I click it, obviously it'll lock in. And it has mode memory, so even when I'm tactically pushing it for turbo, if I click it in, it'll bump to whatever mode it was on previously. So if it was a lower mode, it'll bump down to the lower mode, and then click it to turn it off. And again, just a little light press will give you your battery indicator. Now for strobe, when the light is on, all you do is press and hold the square here, and you'll get instant strobe. And this is actually a tactical strobe, because as soon as you release the button, it goes off. But if you wanted constant strobe, you can have the light off and then press the mode switch like this. You'll get strobe right away, and if you hold your finger on it for more than 3 seconds, it will be constant. So now it's sending me into a mental tailspin as it's continually flashing. But just press it once to turn it off. So that is for constant strobe on the mode switch, and tactical strobe on the on and off switch. The USB charging is hidden, and as it says right here, open and close. So turn it this way, and voila! There is the USB indicator, or USB port, I'm sorry. So give it a little twist, and there's the USB. And as soon as you connect the USB into your USB power source, you'll get the indicators here lighting up. Green is the only color. They don't do any red or anything. So as soon as you plug it in, and if the battery is low, you'll get like 1 or 2 of the indicators lit up, and then of course it'll climb and climb until it gets to all 4 to let you know that it's charged. So let's look at the beam here for a second. I'll turn this light off, and then we'll change the batteries out. So pressing the flat switch, as I said, will turn the light on. And right now we are in the lowest mode, and here is low. It's around 10 lumens or so. So it's not, so it might almost be a little bit bright for pitch blackness. If your eyes have adjusted to pitch dark, you'll turn this on and it'll be a little bit bright at first, and then obviously pressing the button will get to your medium, and then your high, and then your turbo. So there's your bump between turbo and high. So there is a significant difference there between high and turbo. Low, medium, high, turbo. And it is a pretty nice beam. It is an XP-L, so it'll give you a good center spotlight there, almost like a burst of the sun in the center of the light. And off to the edge, which you may see over there, there are some rings, so it's not a perfectly smooth beam. It has reasonably good spill to it, obviously, but along to the edge you will see a couple of rings there. But outside in longer distances those won't be so noticeable. They're more noticeable, obviously, indoors and in situations like this, so you can kind of see the outer rings there. But it has a good center spot and some nice corona off to the sides and so forth. So, but it is a very strong beam, and I have not read or noticed any automatic step down of it when running on the highest mode. The manual indicates over 2 hours of constant use on turbo, and it's starting to get a little bit warm in the head, but it's not hot yet, but it's getting a little bit warm. Obviously that's typical, and but you know, it's a good strong beam and it seems to be able to hold its own there. But I haven't run it continuously for any long length of time yet to actually test its endurance or the fact of it staying as strong as possible. But okay, so those are the basic operations of the light. Let me switch out the batteries here and just briefly do that portion of it to show you how the AAAs are put in, and of course what the AAA beam looks like. It is lower, of course, than it is with the other batteries, so you'll get a lower beam on AAA, and you'll also get lower runtime. The only thing I wish is that they had done is put a comparison of that in the manual, which they do not. All they do is mention the 21700 battery, so they don't say anything about using AAAs or what kind of output you actually have. Install the AAAs like you would any other AAAs into an adapter such as this. These are the kind of adapters they put in the cheaper generic flashlights, the ones that all use the AAAs and the 18650. This is the same adapter they give you with all of those. So this goes in the light, of course, positive side up, right down in there. Turn this off. I'm sorry I don't have a side-by-side comparison here, but you can always go over to my website at lightsandgear.com, where I do have the outdoor shots of the light. So there we are in medium, there's high, and there's turbo. So now we're in turbo on the AAAs, and you may not have noticed that, but there was a little bit of a dip. So what happens on the AAAs, and I have noticed this before, unless they are really strong, you won't be able to power it very much on turbo with AAAs. Unless they're fresh off a charger, they'll only stay on turbo for a short period of time, and then it'll give a little bump down closer to the high mode. There's low, medium, high, turbo. There, it just bumped down again. As soon as I went to turbo, it bumped down again. Now these batteries are pretty fresh in here, and I did run it on turbo with AAAs the other day, and it did not run very long. It was only on for maybe 15-20 minutes, if that, and I was drastically losing output. So AAAs do not give you very much output, especially on the turbo mode, and that's where I had it running the other day. So it's less than a half hour of complete brightness on AAAs on turbo. If you run medium or high, you'll get significantly more run time, but it won't be as long as it is on the lithium batteries. So those are your outputs, and those are your two main battery sizes. As I said before, an 18650 will give you the exact same output as the 21700. It will perform the same way, it just won't last as long on the modes as the 21700 will. That will give you the longest run time of all the battery sizes. A quick look here at the user manual will just describe a couple of brief things that I haven't mentioned yet. And it talks about the battery indicator. So just so you know that 4 LEDs will show you a full battery. 3 LEDs, although it's missing the numeral 3 in this description. Oh, there it is, I'm sorry. It's missing the numeral 3, but that will mean 75% of power remaining. 2 LEDs mean 50%. 1 LED is less than 25%. Now I can show you briefly here on another battery, which is practically dead, or which is very low in output. I can give you an example of that. Let me see. I have a cheap 18650 here. Notice it is an 18650, not one of the other sizes. But to turn this on, it will show full power probably at first, but if I try to bump it up to one of the higher modes, it'll start to lose a bit of power. So turning it off here, okay, now there it is on 3 at the moment. So it's on 3 right now, and if I left it on and then tested the battery again after 5 or 10 minutes or so, it'll start to drop. And as the manual says, when the battery voltage is less than 3.4, the LEDs will blink slowly. So it'll start to drop, and I had it running on a low battery the other day, and the bottom circle here was illuminated and the one on top was flashing slowly on and off. So that's as low as it was going the other day while I was having a look at how it reacts to a low battery. So that's what they start to do, and if the battery capacity is less than 10%, the light will automatically change to a lower brightness to avoid over discharging the battery. I've seen it do that as well, whereas the output will just start dropping if the battery is very low. And if the battery voltage is less than 3 volts, the indicators will start blinking quickly. Otherwise they blink slowly, but it'll blink very quickly if the battery is terribly low. And right now it's down to 2. So there we have 2 indicators on right now. So there is your demonstration of the FiTorch MR15. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Lights and Gear is there. If you want to check out my written review and my outdoor beam shots, you can do that. There's a link below if you'd like to pick one of these up. The FiTorch MR15 is a pretty nice flashlight for the size and obviously for the features and the output. But leave me questions or comments if you have any, and we'll catch you next time with more from Lights and Gear. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.